Okay, so today we're going to go over editing motion capture data. It's just a little small intro to how motion capture data can be modified in Maya. So here I have our previous assignment where we just got the motion capture database straight out of mocap or straight out of Maya, doing the little karate motion and getting back to a stance. So all we're going to do today is basically add a kick where the character does this turn. If we want to turn that into a kick, then have the character come back to this stance before he does his next move. Now, in order to do that, we need to understand how editing motion data works for Maya using layers. Like, you can actually edit the motion capture straight on the base layer or straight on the raw data. Multiple ways to do it. We're going to use layers for a straight out of the box approach. So before we can start our actual animations or updating our motion capture, we need to go to the anim set area or the channel box, and towards the bottom of the channel box you're going to have display and anim. You want to click on the anim tab, and in the anim tab you want to click on layer, create empty layer, and this will create two layers, one being the base where all your motion capture data will live untouched, and then the other will be your first actual layer. But right now there's nothing in that layer because we need to actually assign all the controllers that we want in that layer. So in order to do that, we select the layer we want, select all the controllers from the character, then we want to right click, add selected objects. This is going to add all the controllers we selected to this layer. Now this is only for animation, so only animation data will be gathered on these layers. So now that we have an animation, all of our animation controllers on this layer, this allows us to update and change things on this layer, but it doesn't affect the animation on the base layer. So what we want to do is add a kick on this turn. So at frame, I'm going to go at frame 55. I'm going to set a key. And at frame 70, the kick's going to happen. Then by frame 80, the character's foot's going to come back down and he's going to do the rest of his animation. So what I'm doing is setting the key on all my controllers at frame 55. If I was just to leave that one set of keys and not have here on frame 80, and I was to alter the animation or move a controller, it would stay in that state all the way through and affect the rest of the animation, however that may look. And the same would go if I was to add anything before this key. What the key is doing is basically saying at this point all the animation is going to be exactly what the motion capture data is. And now at frame 80, the same thing. It's going to go back to whatever the motion capture data is unless I alter or move the animation. So at frame 60, this goes 67, I am going to grab the foot controller that I want to do the kick and raise it up as if the character is kicking. So it just does this little karate kick, and obviously I need to adjust the rest of my character. So for my hips, I'm going to use my gimbal controller, which controls my hip and my upper body, and I want to adjust that controller to fit more on what the waist and upper body should be doing. Let's go back in here, make sure this is. Oh, my auto key is not on. What is my auto key not doing on? So I'm going to go ahead and make sure I select key everything. So now what happens is my foot does the kick. At frame 55, my foot starts to come up, it does the kick. Then at frame 80, my foot comes down and goes back to do the normal animation. So now I have basically my small edit of the character doing a kick. But this will allow you to just clean up or make adjustments within these set of frames so that the rest of your data will remain the same. Now say I want this foot to come down sooner because like his waist is already starting to come down and his foot's still floating in the air. Instead of me trying to put the foot back down to where it normally goes, I can go to this little icon, which is basically saying I can zero out the key to basically fit whatever the base animation is. So I'm going to go to this and I'm going to click it, and it's going to basically pop me back to what the original motion capture data was. And to look at your motion capture data in pure form, I guess you could say, without your edits, you can just turn off or mute the anim layer, and you can see what your motion capture data looks like without your edit. Then you can just unmute it to see what it looks like with your edit. Alright, and that's just a quick intro to editing motion capture data in Maya using layers.